3. Scenes 3 and 4, key. In scene 3, the king, Claudius, is praying, or rather he's trying to pray. He's alone in his little chapel. He looks like he's praying. He's praying intensely, but we hear his words. And his words are, I wish I could pray, but I'm so guilty. I killed my brother. I married his wife. I know that heaven, God, will never forgive me unless I give up the throne, which I love, unless I give up my sister-in-law, whom I love. I wish I could pray. Hamlet comes by, sees Claudius, starts to draw his sword. Now is his perfect time to kill this man. Changes his mind. He decides that he will not kill a man who is praying because he assumes, this is the key, he assumes that the man will go to heaven. So, Hamlet makes a decision not to kill Claudius for the wrong reason, and he's wrong anyway, because Claudius was not praying. He simply seemed to be praying. And anyway, how can Hamlet make this decision? How can Hamlet decide, like God, as if he were God? How can Hamlet decide what God will do? Hamlet is playing God. And really what is happening here, I skipped something important. Right after the play, everyone leaves, and Hamlet is so excited again. He talks with Horatio. He is so excited, he is so proud of himself that his little trick, the play within the play, worked. He's so excited, he can't control himself. This is this Hamletian, let's say, excitability. Then, in his excitement, he makes the bad decision not to kill Claudius, and he makes a bad decision for the wrong reasons. Then he goes to see his mother because his mother has sent a messenger saying, son, come to see me, you're a bad boy. Scene 4, he goes to see his mother, and he becomes very angry at his mother. Now, before Hamlet arrives in his mother's room, Polonius is there, and Polonius hides behind the curtain, spy again, to listen to Hamlet. Now, Hamlet becomes very angry at his mother. His mother screams because she's afraid that Hamlet will kill her. Hamlet seems crazy. Polonius calls out, what? Help! Help! The queen! Hamlet, thinking really perhaps it's the king, stupidly, pulls his sword now, stabs through the curtain, kills Polonius. Another bad decision for the wrong reason. Polonius is dead. Polonius maybe was a fool, but Polonius did not deserve to die. Hamlet has now made bad decisions for bad reasons, and really has perhaps become worse than the people in this corrupt society are. Hamlet has been pulled into the corruption of life in spite of himself, a good, noble man, caught in a difficult situation, the duty to kill his uncle, caught with feelings of anger and pain about his mother, now caught in the corruption of this corrupt society, guilty. And in my opinion, one of the worst things about him is, now, he does not feel very guilty about killing Polonius. In fact, he drags the dead body of this old man away and almost makes jokes. That shows how corrupt he has become. In Act 4, I can summarize quickly, the king has decided to send Hamlet to England. England owes Denmark some money, and maybe the change of air will do Hamlet good, because he seems to be so crazy. But the real plan is that the king will send Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, those two friends, with Hamlet, and with a letter to the King of England, a secret letter, and the letter will say, "Dear King of England, kill this boy. Kill Hamlet." Whoa! Well, meanwhile, in Act 4, young Fortinbras arrives from Norway, passing through Denmark, on his way to Poland, you remember? Claudius gave him permission to do this. Fortinbras, man of action. Hamlet still has not taken action, and Hamlet feels so guilty that young Fortinbras is taking action, and that he, Hamlet, never does anything. And when he does something, he does it wrong. Guilt and pain. Okay, summarizing what happens in Act 4, which we do not see, Hamlet goes on board the ship with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to England. During the night on the ship, Hamlet feels restless, can't sleep, goes into Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's room, goes into a chest that they have, finds the letter that Claudius sent to England, goes back to his room on the ship, opens the letter, and reads, the king's order to the King of England to kill Hamlet. Writes a new letter, has his father's royal seal, seals the letter. In the new letter says, "Dear King of England, kill Rosencrantz and Guildenstern." Clever. The next day, though, pirates attack Hamlet's boat. Hamlet, now a man of action, jumps off the boat. The boat sails away. The pirates kidnap Hamlet, but they're nice pirates. For money, they will return Hamlet to Denmark. Act 5. In Act 5, first of all, Horatio learns all about this. Skip something. Sorry. At the end of Act 4, Ophelia is crazy. Apparently, she has good reasons to be insane now. Her father is dead. Hamlet she really loves, but he is crazy, and he killed her father. She dies almost a suicide. It is a suicide because she doesn't try to save herself. She drowns. Act 5. Hamlet returns from his strange voyage, his strange trip. He arrives with Horatio at a cemetery just when Ophelia is going to have her funeral. The priest doesn't like this at all. Oh, skipped something, sorry. First, Hamlet arrives at the cemetery before the funeral. Hamlet has his famous conversation with the grave diggers, who are clowns, really. But in the famous scene, Hamlet holds a skull and says to the gravediggers, "Who was this?" And the gravediggers say, "This was Yorick, the king's fool, the court jester fool." And Hamlet realizes he's holding the head of a man whom he really loved when he was a boy. It turns out Yorick died 23 years earlier, so Hamlet was 7 years old. Yorick was like an uncle, maybe, to Hamlet. They used to play together always, and this makes Hamlet think about death. And he delivers his famous, "Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well, Horatio. He was a man of infinite wit and jest," and so forth. This makes Hamlet think about death a lot, and Hamlet does think about death a lot. And we see that Hamlet is a great intellect, a real thinking man. He looks great in this scene. But then the funeral arrives, at the cemetery, remember. Hamlet and Horatio hide, spying, again, until Hamlet realizes this is Ophelia whom they are burying. The priest doesn't like this at all, by the way, because the church is not supposed to bury suicide. Suicide is a mortal sin in the Catholic religion. These were Catholics, of course. The action, by the way, takes place in the 10th century or 11th century in Denmark. All legend, not history at all. And Hamlet jumps out from behind this cover, has a kind of fight with Laertes, because Laertes, the brother, has returned to Denmark, has the stupidest scene in the play, or at least the most disappointing. Hamlet, the excitable Hamlet, shouting that he loved Ophelia more than any brother Laertes could possibly do. Laertes, who of course is angry at Hamlet because Hamlet killed his father. Laertes lost his father, Polonius, and Hamlet killed him. So we have another boy, or young man, who has lost his father, who wants revenge. Many of them in the play, but the only one who does not take action is Hamlet. Then this is part of the play. Okay, but it really is a stupid scene when Hamlet is fighting with Laertes, arguing that he, Hamlet, loved Ophelia more than Laertes, the brother, could possibly have loved her. Well, this is stupid. More of the excitable Hamlet showing bad judgment. Okay, Act 5, the final act. Sorry, but Hamlet is so important to your education. I think this is okay. I hope this is okay. Act 5, very famous. In Act 5, we see a new Hamlet, and it's the Hamlet whom we can love and respect. The Hamlet of Act 5 is a great man, and it is sad to watch him go, but his death now is inevitable. Inevitable, a word you must understand. Can't be avoided. He's guilty of killing Polonius. He is caught in the swamp of corruption. He's part of it too. His death is inevitable. But he's going to kill Claudius. He's going to kill the king, as he must, because Claudius killed his father and corrupted his mother. Okay. The main action, first of all, early in Act 5, Hamlet tells Horatio what happened on the boat, opening the letter and all that. Horatio is shocked that Claudius could be such a bad man. This plan to kill Hamlet, terrible. But Horatio says, soon the messengers will come from England telling the king what has happened. The king will learn that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead and that Hamlet knows everything. Hamlet realizes this. Hamlet understands this. Hamlet realizes that his time is short, 2 or 3 days maybe. During this time, he knows he must kill Claudius, but he knows that he will die too. Here is the tragic hero. And he has the tragic hero's acceptance of his own death with eyes open. This is heroic, especially considering who Hamlet is, this excitable young man, extremely intelligent, too thoughtful perhaps, but anyone who says that that is his flaw is wrong. Too thoughtful? No. He's not too thoughtful. He's in an impossible position. So, again, the man on the street tends to think that Hamlet's flaw is he thinks too much. Since I have some time here, I'm going to tell you. Beware. That idea that Hamlet is too intellectual betrays. That's what the man on the street wants to think about intellectuals. The man on the street flatters himself, we men on the street maybe, flatter ourselves to think, oh, intellectuals, they are fools, they are not practical, they are not men of action. But of course the man on the street doesn't think enough, or we don't think enough. in any case, beware of that kind of thinking. It's always so flattering. Anyway, so Hamlet, a new Hamlet we have here. Calm, thoughtful, dignified, accepts his situation, accepts his guilt, and is walking with open eyes to his death. He doesn't know how it's going to happen, but he has faith, actually. He's a man of faith also. Special providence in the fall of a sparrow. It's wonderful, actually. Hamlet in Act 5 is the best of the heroes, really. Okay. Then, meanwhile, Laertes has been causing problems. He is angry about the death of his father, of course, and he blames Claudius, the king, for not controlling that crazy Hamlet. And he's got a point. And many other men who are not happy with Danish society have joined with Laertes, and there's almost going to be a revolution. But the king talks to Laertes. He convinces Laertes that it's not his fault what happened, that he doesn't like Hamlet either, and they will join together in a plot to kill Hamlet. Laertes likes this idea, so Laertes is guilty now too, because the plot is ugly. The idea is this. Claudius will bet a wager, Hamlet, on a sword fencing, you know fencing from the gold medals that Korea won in the Olympics, in a fencing match. Hamlet versus Laertes. Laertes is a famous swordsman. Hamlet is a much more famous swordsman. Hamlet is a great swordsman. So remember this, we're seeing a Hamlet who's a man of action here. We saw it on the boat when he fought the pirates. We saw it stupidly against Laertes. And now we learn that Hamlet is a soldier, a man of action, a great swordsman. He's not just a bookish intellectual. The bet is they will have 12 matches. The king bets that Hamlet will win at least 9 of them. Well, that's amazing. Laertes is a very good swordsman. But the king bets that Hamlet will win at least 9 of those 12 matches. If Hamlet wins 9, the king wins a prize. If Laertes wins 4, that is more than 3, 4, then Laertes wins a big prize. Okay. But Laertes and the king have a plan. One of the swords will be blunt, that is, like this, won't hurt anybody, but one of them will not be blunt, will be sharp, deadly. And they have a second plan. They are going to put poison on that sharp sword. Of course, Laertes will get the sharp sword. Hamlet won't notice anything. He's a trusting, noble young man. Laertes will have the sharp sword with the poison on the tip. A third plan, the king will put poison in a cup of wine and will offer Hamlet a cup of wine during the match. Hamlet will be very warm, want to drink. So Hamlet is dead. One way or another they will kill Hamlet. During the match, Hamlet is winning, but Laertes becomes very angry and stabs Hamlet when Hamlet isn't even looking. Hamlet becomes angry, they wrestle. Hamlet gets the poisoned sharp sword, stabs Laertes. Laertes is dead, and he knows it. But before he dies, he tells Hamlet everything. He tells Hamlet about the poisoned cup. By the way, Hamlet didn't drink, but Gertrude, the queen, drank. Very sad. I think really she felt that the cup was poisoned. She felt that it was intended for Hamlet, and she felt that she wanted to die. So in the end, she recovers a little dignity too. Hamlet learns that about the sword, the poisoned sword, about the poisoned cup, stabs the king at last. Everyone is horrified and shocked, dead bodies everywhere. Laertes is dead. The queen is dead. The king is dead. Hamlet is dying. In his final minutes, he talks with Horatio. Famous, very moving scene. He asks Horatio to explain to people what really happened. Horatio wants to die. He takes the cup and says, "There's still some poison in here. I'm going to drink it." Starts to drink. Hamlet, his final effort, pulls the cup away from Horatio. Very moving that Horatio wanted to die. Great friendship between those two. And final scene, Fortinbras is passing back through Denmark from Poland just in time to find lots of dead bodies. The king is dead, the queen is dead, the prince is dead, Hamlet. Fortinbras says, "I think I'll be king of Denmark." The man of action wins, but he's going to bury Hamlet like a soldier, not just a prince but a soldier. So Hamlet, the man of action, the soldier, the intellectual, the tragic hero is dead, of course. Fortinbras has the final words, because in a Shakespearean drama, in a tragedy, the highest ranking person has the final words always. That's Fortinbras. The curtain goes down. Great play. Okay.